There was an era of content creation where there was really only one place to go if you were a creator that was spicy, a non narrative conforming creator, a creator that had been, for example, removed from the YouTube partnership program, demonetized. Or maybe if you created, I don't know, newsletters or email newsletters, things of this nature that were non-mainstream. Now, does that group of people include maybe some genuinely bad ideas? I'm sure it does, but so does the group of people that are generally accepted and promoted, I believe, by big tech and mainstream media. But there was a bastion for those out there, and it was called Patreon. Patreon came along, conveniently timed with huge, large-scale content creator demonetizations. People like Sargon of Akkad, myself, and others. We went to Patreon. Patreon was all too happy to take our money. Now, if you don't know how Patreon works, it works like YouTube memberships or, let's say, Subscribestar, where people back a creator and then Patreon makes their money by taking a small cut of that. But in the beginning, the overwhelming majority of people on Patreon were the quote-unquote wrong thinkers. People like Sargon of Akkad, I think, had, $50,000 a month or some huge number that Patreon was taking 10, 15% of or whatever. I had thousands of backers on Patreon at that time. Many others did. Once Patreon became mainstream, they decided, well, it's time to ban everybody. And they went through a major ban wave. All sorts of people. At the time, they called them alt-right creators, but, it was, Milo got banned. Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad got banned. And you see, like, the way the media reports it, right? A British conspiracy theorist, probably being a scumbag. Another, James Alsop, a far-right political commentator, was also hit with a ban. He was getting $12,000 a month from the platform, right? There's tons of them. This was one time. Patreon continues to crack down on like an NSFW content creators, something that they used to be a bastion for. But then what happened? Well, one of the top Patreon creators was Sam Harris, and he said, and he just deleted his account, right? Because he was sick of people getting banned off the platform for having wrongthink. Now, you got to understand, at this time, 2016, 17, 18, there were very few ways for content creators who had been removed from the system to earn a living. Now we have YouTube memberships, or like what I use, Subscribestar, which is a free speech first for the most part. There are a few people, I think, that have been banned from there over the years, but very few. And they stand by their creators. So I use Subscribestar, and I'm thankful for everyone that backs me there. What Sam Harris did, along with Dave Rubin, I believe, is they went on. Okay, Sam Harris, a top Patreon user, said he deleted his account and accused a crowdfunding membership platform of political bias. The owner of one of the top grossing accounts on Patreon, the author and podcaster Sam Harris, said he deleted his account and accused a crowdfunding website of exhibiting political bias when it banned several accounts of users on the conservative fringe. Harris made the announcement Sunday night on Twitter, where he has 1.1 million followers. As many of you know, Patreon has banned several prominent content creators from the platform. Harris said, while the company insists that they were each in violation of terms of service, these recent expulsions seem more readily explained by political bias. Although I don't share the politics of the banned members, I consider it no longer tenable to expose any part of my podcast funding to the whims of Patreon's, quote, Trust and Safety Committee. I think Sydney Watson was also banned from Patreon. So Harris's podcast Waking Up has significant support on the platform. According to Graphitron, the site that tracks Patreon, he had nearly 9,000 patrons paying at the end of November. He had the 4th largest podcast account and the 11th largest account overall. The site estimated that he made between $23,000 and $60,000 a month, and he left. Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin, they've all left. They started their own thing. What's their thing called? Locals? They started Locals, right? After one more Patreon ban, Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin are starting their own. Intellectual dark web web leaders Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin announced they are forming an alternative to Patreon, citing what they view as very active censorship and politically conservative voices, the crowdfunding website. I mean, yeah. You know, Rubin said they decided to start the new platform because Patreon banned users this month over content of a YouTube video that had nothing to do with the platform. In the video, he used the N-word, a number of expletives, to voice his frustration with the members of the alt-right. They're talking about Sargon here, I believe. Maybe not. Yes, they are. In a joint video, he wasn't calling black people that word. The context of the video is very clear, by the way. Rubin and Peterson criticized the platform's decision to boot the user Carl Benjamin without any recourse or semblance of due process. Rubin said the banning of Sargon of Akkad for doing something that was not on the Patreon platform, that wasn't even done on his own channel because of a word he said, is a massive move of that line of what's acceptable. The fact that the guy got booted with no chance of recourse, no warning, and just like that is an extension of everything else we've been talking about. This is the buildup, right? Patreon used to be the go-to place, right? Now, it's crumbling. We have Patreon security team laid off, caused a backlash in creator community. We've got massive layoffs there. I forgot to mention, wouldn't be a day on my channel if I didn't mention coffee. Today marks the day that our seasonal coffees start shipping. The pumpkin spice, the spiked jack-o'-lantern, and our K-cups. If you ordered today, since I haven't updated the website, you'll get the founder's coin still. If you like our coffee, but you prefer K-cups, by the way, our K-cups are recyclable. We have our dark roast and medium roast available via K-cup pre-order, and then we have like a 72-pack that's like more strongly discounted. We obviously have all of our standard coffees. We have 6 organic teas that I know you're going to love. I drink them every day. And we have Cocos, coffeebrandcoffee.com. Promo code TheQuartering will save today. And it helps the channel. Like some people back on Subscribestar, if you drink coffee, tea, or cocoa, use that promo code, shop the website, support the channel. Off-platform revenue, right? You see here, Patreon has confirmed it has laid off its 5-employee security team. Emily Metcalf, former senior security engineer at Patreon, said in a link post on Thursday, LinkedIn, so for better or worse, I and the rest of the Patreon security team are no longer with the company. There are concerns for artists and creators using the Patreon platform after a row broke out following the layoff of its cybersecurity team. News site Cyberscoop has put those concerns to Patreon in a statement that promises, quote, the changes made this week have no impact on our ability to providing a secure and safe platform for creators and Patreons. There are 2 headaches here for Patreon. First, if the creators get spooked and leave the platform. Second, if hackers redouble their efforts to breach security due to the publicity around the layoffs and concerns. If you're a content creator, you should be using Subscribestar anyway. By the way, I don't get paid anything to say that. I think you should, because you shouldn't be giving. He's Jack. It's not Jack Dorsey. What is it? He's another Silicon Valley scumbag that runs this company too. Well, Patreon laid off its entire security team. Wouldn't trust my data there. Also, there's some amazing talent to scoop up. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know if they're amazing talent or not. Patreon is a website that allows content creators to offer monthly subscriptions for their customers in exchange between 5 and 12% of their cut. By the way, the cut from Subscribestar, far less than that. This is not the first layoff, too. They have many other. They've had several other layoffs over the past couple of years. So is this just a regular old layoff? Sure, it could be. It certainly could be. You know, they say they still have 8 million users. I don't know how many of them are actively paying for stuff. I know when Sargon got banned, a lot of people left. When I got banned, a lot of people left. Not nearly as many. Obviously, when Sam Harris left, a lot of people left. And you see another former security team member who wished to remain anonymous due to the terms of their severance agreement disputed the company's claims that the employee said that the team had already been understaffed prior to layoffs and the company had dramatically cut down on its use of external security vendors in the past 4 months. Seems like they're trying to cut costs to me, doesn't it? There are no qualified security personnel, the employee said. There is no one there to utilize the tools that we had in place. Interesting. Very interesting. You are destroying our livelihoods by failing to provide security, artist Suzanne Forbes wrote. My Patreon has always been supported primarily by computer security professionals. Guess what they're doing now? Deleting their accounts. Oopsie. By the way, this is the third layoff at Patreon in as many years. Patreon laid off 36 employees last year, 13% of its workforce in 2020. It's not immediately clear how many of those employees were on the security team. Doesn't look good for Patreon. Hey, back your favorite creators. I'm on Subscribestar. If you go down my description, you just go to subscribestar.com/thequartering. You can back me there. Anybody that I know that I have their ears for other creators, I try to tell them to use anything but Patreon. And if you're backing creators currently on Patreon, you should let them know that you don't want to back them anymore, and but you will back them somewhere else, because Patreon sucks. Their ownership sucks. They are politically compromised, and I can't wait for them to go out of business. I hope you enjoyed this video. And by the way, just so you know what it's like when they fire you, you get an email from the trust and safety team and says, here's an Excel sheet of your Patreon backers. Good luck. And you're locked out of your account. You can't contact your backers. You can't tell your backers what happened. You have no way. You can blind email them, and you'll get like 1% of them to answer the email. It really hoses you when they fire you. So I remember that experience very vividly. As big as my channel is, my backers on Subscribestar is a backbone, or my members on YouTube. They're a similar thing. Members on YouTube or backers on Subscribestar are a backbone to helping pay the staff. People see a big channel, but they forget I have 2 full-time videographers. I have somebody who handles all my marketing deals, Maggie, and I have a thumbnail person. So it's a lot to keep this thing running. So I appreciate people that back me. And make sure you pick up some coffee, tea, or cocoa if you so drink. It makes a great gift. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.